Hello, everyone. Welcome to You Can't Make This Shit Up. I am here with Joel and David, and we are going to have an awesome show for you today. So be sure to hit that thumbs up button right now because it's already going to be great. I'm
Awesome.
Angelina, and we have an awesome video for you guys, and we're just going to play that right now. If I can actually get it up, that'd be great.
I have to keep my. There you go. It's getting somewhere.
Getting somewhere. There we go.
So
I have so many tabs open.
as she's trying to get this open, because this is not something that's like instantaneous that you can learn on the spot. So I learned at the last 2 shows ago how to do this because I didn't know how to do either. I'm going like
There we go.
couldn't get myself off mute. So
All right.
We're calling some breaking news right now, and we have just learned that Daniel Penny, the Marine veteran, he is expected to turn himself in as soon as tomorrow to face criminal charges. Now, this is in connection with the chokehold death of JordanNeely. This happened on board the F train about a week ago. There is no word at this point about exactly what he was charged with. Those details will not be released until he appears in court. And this comes after several protests across the cities with supporters calling for charges to be filed. The Manhattan DA has been investigating this incident for more than a week now. But again, Daniel Penny is expected to turn himself in for criminal charges over the chokehold death of JordanNeely. We're going to continue to follow this situation, try to get more details, and have much more for you coming up on Eyewitness News at 5.
nice.
Wow. Seeing that for another time, it makes me change my perspective. Granted, again, from a mental health point of view, a professional point of view, I recognize when someone's in a mental health crisis. Seeing that video and seeing that Daniel Penny had a very strong chokehold on JordanNeely, and there was someone else that was trying to assist Penny, not necessarily Neely, our victim.
Well, David, I don't see how you can determine how much pressure he has on. Like literally,
I've been in the chokehold, Joel. That was pretty tight. He's underneath him, and you can see Neely.
I understand, but you can't say that for sure that we know that he was trying to strangle him or was using that much strength that he thought he was going to harm this person. He just wanted to subdue the situation. So I just think I see the tragedy here.
Sure.
But we also have to look at the fact that not everybody's an expert like yourself in that field of mental health. I mean, I would have been nervous for other people. If he didn't threaten me, I still feel like if he's threatening somebody else, there should be some action taken. Maybe this is excessive, but maybe he didn't know that he was putting that much strength on him. He was just trying to hold him still, from my perspective.
I believe Penny was trained to be trained as a Marine to
as a Marine, he's trained to kill.
Use excessive force.
No, he's trained to kill. Okay, but he's not trained in this unless he's an MP or he's not trained. He's not trained on how to subdue somebody. He knows how to throw him to the ground, wrap him up, and put him in cuffs. Right? I mean, strip. I mean, you got because he's a soldier, he has to have all these special. No, he's trained in this and this. Listen,
he's trained to kill.
I'm trained to do this, the chokehold, right? I was an MP. I'm trained for that. Well, that's why I say you can't tell how much strength he was using. But knowing he's a Marine, he's not thinking it anything more than that moment.
Angelina?
So at first, whenever I first read the actual original article that you sent, first I was completely on the guy's side. Can you remind me of his name? The one that was
The one who applied the chokehold?
Yes.
That would be Daniel Penny.
Oh, and the victim. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. The victim was JordanNeely.
JordanNeely. So at first I was actually on JordanNeely's side because the way that it was presented in the article was that this man did nothing and that this random guy just put him in a chokehold. And so at first I was on the victim's side, right? But then as I started really thinking about it, there have been so many other situations on the subway where people just stand around and just do nothing. The person could be harassing. There have been times where, a woman was beaten to death and no one did anything. So I think that this is a really tough situation, obviously, because of course it's the white on black and all this stuff. But I really feel bad for men in our society. And I think that it brings to question what their role in society is and, the hardships that they face. I mean, I'll be honest with you, there are times where I feel like it's much easier being a woman rather than being a man. Because being a man, you have to put yourself in that situation. Like you have to face the thoughts of, do I step in? And am I using too much force? And so I'll be honest with you, if I was someone on the subway, I would want someone to step in because I don't know what this person is capable of. I'm someone where like I naturally get very skeptical of strangers. So I often would act, I don't want to say in such a way, but I wouldn't, of course, choke out someone because I don't have the strength for that, just to be completely honest. But I'm someone where I would fear, like I would try to get out of the situation as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think you make a very good point. But so here's the contradiction, David. So we have so many laws on the books. Now let's back up for just a moment and say he didn't do something. He didn't do something, and somebody got killed. Not him. Somebody else got killed. So you say, well, you could have stepped in. Good Samaritan laws would say, hey, guess what? You didn't step in. That person died. It's your fault. So we have a double standard on a lot of things because, look, if he didn't do anything, he's in trouble. If he does something, he's in trouble. You can't win in this situation. The videos, I hate videos. I hate videos because you don't see everything. It's every different angle. I mean, I saw something on a video one time and I was like, oh, dead to rights, that person did it. I saw another video from a different angle and I saw the missing piece and said, oh my God, it was so an accident. There was no reason that he intended to. You don't see the guy tripping over, the chalk block, which chalk block is something you put underneath the tire so the vehicle doesn't roll. Well, it wasn't under the vehicle. It was outside and the guy trips over it and stabs the guy. It looks like he lunged at him. Not the case. So I don't like videos. I think that our society is too hooked on them. They think they're evidence of pure hate and evil, and they're not. They're not. There's so many different things going on. I say, look, great for you to bring this up, but I'm having trouble trying to figure out. I want to defend both of them because he didn't need to die. But I also want to defend Penny in the fact that he's trained, like you said, but he's trained to save people, his people. Like he's trained to kill, but he's trained to protect a squad or a platoon. I mean, there's a whole. He's looking at it as there's a whole bunch of people in this one tube, and they can't get out, and there's something crazy going on.
Mm-hmm.
So think about how much anxiety he's feeling at that moment. So how much the anxiety of the passengers. I bet you the people in the train are not like the people that are watching this on television saying, you got to prosecute, you got to prosecute. Everybody in that train probably was thankful at that moment that it happened. So,
given my prior experience before I became a mental health professional, I had to take the Chicago L. It was the subway elevated train system of the Chicago Transit Authority. So similar to New York's. And I've been in numerous situations similar to street performers, hustlers, rowdy individuals on the L car, doing their thing, and sometimes feeling anxious, sometimes feeling frustrated, angry, fearful of what was going to happen next, sometimes even entertained about what was happening. And so I understand being in that subway car with um, Penny and Neely. And Neely is not unfamiliar to many New Yorkers. He is a famous, I say famous because he's been profiled before by the media as a Michael Jackson impersonator. And, the bit gets kind of old after a while. However, I've seen similar acts in Chicago on the L platform, in the subway car, in the L car, and you do feel like you're a trapped audience, you're a captive audience unless you find your way, from one car to the other to the exit between the cars. And when you get on, you make sure you know where the exits are, and if you're able to get to those exits. In regards to this situation, is unfortunate. What happened to Neely, and of course the litigation that is coming after Penny. I've never seen a situation. I've seen fights on the L platform or in this L car. Yes, I've seen fights. Have I seen someone who was so obnoxious, subdued like this? No. And I've seen some shit. Was it? I understand what you both are saying, and it's unfortunate. I understand that Neely was going through some very hard times after the death of his mother. He was homeless. He was in need of mental health services that he never received. Society has dropped the ball in regards to him. What I take issue with, and this is pretty much the title of this particular episode, is the fact of what our governor Ron DeSantis said. And yeah, he's my favorite political punching bag, so I'm going to quote him. And there's so much going on here, but he said, "We must defeat the Soros," meaning George Soros, the Hungarian Jewish billionaire that supports a lot of liberal causes. We must defeat the Soros-funded DAs, meaning the district attorneys across the country, attorney generals who received support through organizations that he supported to be elected. But we must defeat the Soros-funded DAs, stop the left's pro-criminal agenda, and take back the streets for law-abiding citizens. We stand.
100%.
We stand with Good Samaritans like Daniel Perry. Let's show this Marine America's got his back. And that was the tweet. And I'm like, there's so many things that are just so weird about it, so stupid, ignorant about
you're calling me ignorant because I think the same thing. The one part of that I disagree with is it didn't need to point out the DA is a Soros funded. He basically should say these
He made it
liberal,
political.
because he's running for president. Now he's
He
running for
wasn't running
president.
for president when he
Saying,
made this tweet.
well, he knew he was going to run for president. He had to have, because you don't just make that decision
But he would have told you he wasn't running.
No, he.
But go
Listen,
ahead. Go ahead. I see. It's
I'm
nuanced.
literally going to say. I'm going to say I would not have had to, push that agenda. Other than I need the people that are in my party to know that I'm attacking these law-hating DAs. The Worrells of the world need to step back and say, look, if you want to transition our legal system, you have to do it in a different way. You can't just say, I'm not going to prosecute this. I'm not going to prosecute this. I'm not going to use the death penalty. All these different things. Look, you are there to enforce the law. Now, in this case, they're changing the whole thing. This guy felt he was doing the right thing, and now he's going to have to face charges. Listen, and it's only because the DA is trying to send a message.
Okay.
Because I watched the video, I don't see any other reason is that he's being pushed by people to do this action.
Right. Angelina and I are both Christians. You're Lutheran, correct?
That's a Christian, so that's
right. I was just being more specific.
You're on the Catholic side of things, so I mean,
yeah,
like that's the extreme. So yeah, I'm the Protestant.
Right. This point about the Good Samaritan. I don't know if DeSantis understood what he was saying when he called Penny a Good Samaritan, but Good Samaritans do not choke out people who are in need. And being a Christian, I took that.
How do you know he's in need?
To heart, that statement to heart.
How do you know he's in need? You know more about this man now because the actions have already been happening. How did he know that he needed mental health? How did he know all these different things? How did he know he was homeless? He didn't know those things, but he knows them now.
Are you talking about Penny? Are you talking about Penny or DeSantis?
I'm talking about Penny didn't know that crap.
I'm not.
So that's the Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan
was
he was protecting the people in that car. So I'm saying he's using the term correctly because he's saying he thought he was doing the right thing to protect the people that were there. The many with the few, right? This one person could have done terrible damage if he had a knife, a gun. You just never know.
But he did not.
I'm saying the term.
Even though he escalated, Joel, and granted, I did see more, more than what's in this video. He was familiar to people. Whether or not he was familiar to Penny is a different story, and they'll come out in the trial. However, does it mean that you go to a point where you choke someone out to the point that where they're dead for just having a mental health breakdown, for being verbally abusive? And again, I'm coming from I've been in a situation just like this. How did it de-escalate? We ignored the dude. We turned our backs. We looked the other way. We moved.
But I think
Angelina,
with that, you just don't know the person. I mean, I don't trust any kind of stranger. So if you're acting crazy, I want to get out of that situation. I don't want to be in that situation. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, I get ignore them or whatever, and that sounds great, and I would love to do that. But the issue is that I don't know. They could have a gun. They could. Like, there are reasons why I carry pepper spray around with me all the time. Not that it's going to help with the gun, of course. But it's because I don't know who's out there. I don't know what they're capable of.
I agree with you there. And Penny did what he was trained to do, and what men typically do is to protect. He showed up. He showed up in a way that has garnered support for what he did. I'm just thinking, and we were talking a little bit about this before we started broadcasting. When is enough enough? And again, I've been in chokeholds for trainings and things like that. It's scary when you cannot breathe, when you don't have control of who is restraining you. I've been taught how to put someone in restraints, but then again, that's my work as a mental health professional in the past. Um, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate to see a life taken in this way, and then another life, pennies, being judged in this way, and perhaps he'll lose his freedom over this. The overarching point that I like to make sure is clear is the governor's statement and making this political and in a way dehumanizing what occurred.
I don't think he's dehumanizing what occurred. He's trying to put the onus on the politicos and say, you know what, you're overreacting, is what he's saying. To not know the whole situation. There's three sides to every story. We see one, two, and the third is what we provide now.
I know
So
that's not what his tweet is saying.
his tweet is saying we've got to do something about these DAs, and the way we do it is we
Doesn't make it.
support
It makes it
people like that.
political. This has
Doesn't matter. It
nothing
is
to do.
political.
Daniel,
It is political right now. The DA
Jordan
New
Neely
York,
was not a criminal in this case, in this particular incident. It
he
had
was a
nothing to do
danger
with
to
the DA.
society.
It had nothing
He
to
was a
do with the
danger. He was a
it had
danger to
nothing to do with the
society. The
DA
DA, yes, it
allowing
did.
him to be on the street. This is a
The
failure
DA
of
did.
society,
You just
not addressing the mental health issues.
right, but how many times has he been put in jail? How many times is and all this stuff in life that goes on, right? How many times was he like done
He
something
was
that
first
he
put
was?
into jail under Giuliani.
So I'm just saying. Wait,
I'm just
I'm
kidding.
saying.
I'm not too sure about
Listen,
that. I'm
I'm
just
just
throwing
saying.
it out.
If he's in those situations and he's been in and out of jail or stuff like that, then somebody. We all failed Neely. We all failed Neely.
But Joe, if I
But
serve my time, I pay my debt to society, I'm allowed to be back on the street.
right, but
How is that a
did you
failure of a DA?
did he get anything? Did anybody take a look and say this is
We
a
don't know.
trend we need to deal with?
We
And a
don't know.
DA has a lot of power to do that.
Mhm.
This kind of goes back to the whole thing of we're failing men in our society. We're not teaching them how to control their anger. We're not teaching them when is the right time to step in. We're not teaching them any of these things. And I feel like there's such a mental health crisis among men specifically
Yes.
because there isn't any of those initiatives. I feel like there's so many initiatives towards young women, which rightfully so. We need those.
Sure.
But we also need it for men as well.
Hmm. I agree with you, and I'd love to have this conversation some more in the future with you, Angelina, and Joel, of course. I believe that there has been so much attention on the other, whether it's women, whether it's race or gender identity or whatever, that we have moved away from the basics. And,
Well,
and
men are less likely to go seek help, anyways. I mean,
and men are more
what you
likely to commit suicide too.
correct, correct.
Men, for the most part, no one really cares about men.
It's
I
really
mean,
sad.
we do our thing. We go about our business. We take care of business, and our role is to lead, protect, and provide. And as a society, I believe to some extent we've moved away from that, from that for men in general, that particular role. Maybe things have changed since older generations, the boomers, where it was affordable that a mother can stay home and take care of the home and hearth, take care of the children, and the man will go out and earn the salary to provide. And now we can't afford to do that anymore, where one person can stay home. You need two people
No, we
to
could
provide for the
we
family.
could listen. You could provide that. It's just it's because society has changed so much.
Hmm.
You're locked into it now, but think about the job increase. See, this is what people amaze me because literally there'd be more jobs if less people were in the marketplace, and the jobs would pay much more money, and people would actually learn skills, and we would still have lots of women in the workforce, but once they get married, a man or the woman could stay home because there would be more resources, more for
Right.
them. But people don't want that. We're taking 3 jobs like just to keep the lights on.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that, but there is a way, but we won't ever see that way back. And it's literally less people in the workforce would increase the amount of jobs and increase the
Incomes.
availability. And then people that don't need a job at this very moment, don't need the job because they're just learning or going to school or something else, will take those jobs to say, here's a little extra pocket money. Can't do that because everybody's living at their home now. They're living with mom and dad because mom and dad, they're exhausting their money, their retirement money, because they're trying to keep up with the kids.
Right. Angelina, would you feel comfortable being the main or sole breadwinner while your husband stays home and raises the family?
Actually, I don't hate the idea, to be honest. So my boyfriend, he's actually a teacher. Well, he's gonna become a teacher right now. He's a PE coach. So of course, teachers don't get paid that much. So we've had this discussion a lot of times where we're like, okay, I may be the sole breadwinner. I may be, making most of the money. How are we gonna go about that? Are you gonna be okay with that? Because I know that for men, it can be a difficult thing, and I'm understanding towards that. I mean, personally, I would feel comfortable with it. It's definitely something like I'm kind of struggling with because I feel like as I'm becoming more and more feminine, I guess I don't want to say feminine, but you know what I mean. As I'm becoming
Sure.
older and mature, thinking about kids, I'm like, so what do I want to do? Do I want to remain in the workforce, or do I want to step back, or do I have to do things at home so that way I can take care of my kids and also still accomplish my goals?
Wow, that is a modern, day concern. That is an issue. Wow. Um,
I think young people have a lot more to say, and they're learning things from such a different angle.
mhm.
I mean, there's so many tools that, like, now we're gonna have a whole generation that's going to be raised with AI. Where's AI going? I can't go on to anything. I can't go on Google. I can't go on
You're right.
Canva. I can't go on to even Adobe as the beta introduction for AI in the Photoshop and all their. I'm like, so Photoshop, I can now work with an AI to get my image to work. I'm
Oh,
like, this is credible, but it's also lazy in a way.
it is. And that's why our generation, that's why we're becoming dumber in a way. And that's why we're becoming lazier. Because nowadays, kids don't even have to write essays anymore. They can just go on ChatGPT and then
Right.
the essays right there for them.
But I'll tell you something: if you're wise, and David got me hooked on this because I had to figure out if, and it brought back my hobby, because I'm always challenging the AI. AI has some simple rules, like my poetry compared to its poetry is very different because it starts with certain things and uses certain words way overdoes it, and every single poem starts exactly the same. I'm like, okay, well, what do you say? Like, the first 4 words are the same in every single one of your poems. How do you get him or it to expand on its knowledge? So I'm trying to teach it something, and it still can't get it right.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to teach it how to do a poem with the word uh, brainstorm, right?
Mhm.
So it says brainstorm on one side, and the poem will be written. It's a certain style. It'll do an ABC one, but it go brain, or brain, and some
Right.
it can't comprehend how to get the first letter and the poem to work because it's so stuck on its ways. So they might be doing that, but eventually people know. People will find out that real artists are not real artists because of the way, hey, these are all turning out the same.
Right.
I think
So,
this. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead, Angela.
Thank you. I think the scariest thing with AI is the whole the voice AI. I keep on getting addicted to these president AI videos. It's like the ones with Joe Biden and Trump and all that. They're like playing Call of Duty or something. But it sounds so real. If I
Yeah.
didn't know, I would be convinced that this was a real conversation between these two because it sounds too real. And the video AI, where it can look like different people are doing different things, that's when I get concerned.
You know what? I'm loving this subject, so I want to, David, address this next week. I want to talk about AI because the what you just mentioned is huge because there are parents that have their kids in college and their kids are doing podcasts. They're available online. They have their voice online. So what they do is they capture that kid's voice. They find out who the parents are, and then they call up and say, your son is in jail. You need to send,
Yes.
25
Yes.
gift cards, Walmart gift cards at $25, and I can get him out. I mean, well, the gift card always, whenever a gift card's involved, you know it's a scam. But their parents, let me put your son on the phone. And they're hearing this voice that's actually their son, generated by AI. These crimes are just going to get bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we transition from this subject into, hey, we need to address some of that AI and start talking about it. That's why I wrote that article about how much people love it. It's like,
Oh,
what are we going to do with our blogging? My
right.
blogging is going to be, what is it? What does it lead to that you should know that David, Joel, we're experts in what we're doing. And if we aren't, we're still researching. David,
Every
I
day.
didn't know, I barely knew about AI. I've been just trying to make every single dollar come in to try to make it through, building a business with you and all this other stuff. That's the focus, right? It's not, and that now you have AI. Like I could write a book in 2 seconds, but is it a
Oh, yeah.
good book?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I know with my experience in AI, and I talked about this and on Monday in Countertop Politics. The best tool to use right now is AI, and some of the feedback I've gotten is like, okay, you got our curiosity, now you piqued my interest. Tell us what practical uses, utility have you had with AI in your practice? So I'll be talking about that this Monday. But I think we got a good theme for next week, Joel. We could talk about this
Well,
AI
yeah,
and
because you can't make this again. You can't make this shit up.
right.
From the moment we're talking about from the moment we're talking about, you know, our different views on this vigilante or Good Samaritan. Two different terms, two very different terms, but Perry is both. In some eyes, he's a vigilante. In other eyes, he's a savior. He's that protector. So the courts will make this decision. The jury will make this decision because the prosecutor has already gone forward. But when we put this together, we came out talking about AI. And the reason we're talking about it is our society is changing. And we know because we're watching it. And thank you, Angelina. This is like you bring such a vast difference because you're living with it here now. David had to like mention it to me. Now this art, that all my artwork that I use for my all the artwork I use now for my social media. I don't care if you like it or don't. It's all being made by AI because I mean it's the quickest way I can do it. Subject is, men washing dishes. It's going to be men washing dishes. I can create that now. So I mean it's fun, but it's also weird.
I know that some of our show titles and sometimes some of our show notes come from AI or the research that's done and everything. And I'm looking forward to implementing more practical uses of AI and what we offer as a firm.
The limitation with Chat GTP that people might not be aware of is anything before 2021, you can be confident it pretty much knows it. But if there's like a new book that rolls out or something like that, the kids are going to be so disappointed because it can't give you a synopsis of that book. It can't tell you anything because it doesn't know. So you get the human experience first. And for Chat GTP, because it's open source, it's like 3 years.
As
In
I
2
use
years,
various AIs to
so
kind of
that's
get
why
what
all
you
these other,
need.
that's why Google's saying, hey, you know what? We can invest in AI that knows what's
Oh,
going on in our internet. So
yeah.
now they're going ahead and providing theirs because that's where they're going. So this is going to only get bigger and scarier. And I think Elon Musk is taking the side of it's out of control. I mean, he's in that industry. He's worried about what it can do. And we're like, you consuming it at points. Oop, David went away.
Yeah, where'd he go?
No, he's had to get up from his chair.
Guys, this whole show was done by my AI.
Thank you. I knew you were going to do that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Joe.
No, I think it was beautiful. But David, it's like you did the joke this time. Usually it's Joel that thinks the thing goes for it. But no, I thank you very much, everybody. This has been a great show. And what we ask our audience is please tune in. Please show somebody else that there are people talking about these subjects. Agree with us, disagree with us, just get into the conversation. And look, he's a good Samaritan. He's a vigilante. But you share, and you just get our message out there.
We're going to see a whole lot of Batman out there.
Angelina, you got anything else to say?
Just comment and ring that notification bell.
Awesome.
Hey.
That's David. There you go, David.
All right.
All for you.